Social networking is fast growing in America, and with all the new members it sees every day, it's no wonder that politicians want to get a piece of the action. There's a new medium in terms of political campaigns, and politicians are eagerly trying to figure out how to work it best. In fact, in the year 2012, more than 50% of people have learned about breaking news via social media rather than official news sources. Users also get a much wider range of stories of what's going on, from what their friends are doing to what presidents and their campaigns are doing. With social media's ever-growing population and involvement in politics, the question of whether it is more beneficial than it is a burden is one that needs to be addressed before a small problem that can be fixed turns into a problem so massive that it will be impossible to contain. One would think, however, that it's a perfect way to campaign for the election, as you reach a much larger audience just by posting something and it in turn gets seen by millions of people, but that's not always the case. And as you can see, Barack Obama not only won the election, but he also won everybody's likes on Facebook as well. Students at the University of Texas at El Paso were interviewed to get their thoughts on what social media has done for them in terms of voting in the elections.
How often do you use social media?
Every day.
Every day. What type of social media do you use the most?
Facebook, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
How do you determine the credibility of the different sources in social media?
Well, that's where peer pressure comes in, and then a lot of people influence, the whole, there was a picture going around, like for Obama, share for Romney, so that's a lot of influence. In the social media, it's all over the place. A lot of people think that they don't get into it, but a lot of the youth get into it because of the social medias.
Very often.
How many hours?
Facebook counts as a social media, right? Every 10 minutes.
How often do you use social media?
A lot, probably.
If you could say hours, yeah.
How many times a day? Where I'm always on my phone, so.
What do you?
I heard other people's opinions through social media, and it wasn't that much of a big of an influence, but.
You got
yeah.
different
I did. A lot of the posts I would see on Facebook, there were a lot from like Huffington Post, or they'd come from Yahoo, or big names like that. So.
In the middle of our interviewing process, we caught a student in the act of using social media.
Use the most?
The internet, such as.
This student chose not to show his face, but he did decide to give us some good input on what he thought about social media in the elections.
Well, they're always out on the homepages of all the internets that I see, television as well. There's all these ads on television that I see as well, so it's always a constant aspect of the politicians.
Well, did social media help you decide your vote?
In a way it did, because the political debates were a big decision factor, so I can say yes.
Probably usually every other hour. Yeah, just check Twitter and stuff like that.
What type of social media do you use the most?
Probably Twitter. Yeah. Well, there's not really much credibility. They all have different sides to it, and it's it's not really credible. Everybody's saying the same thing. It's just basically going to the presidential elections for whatever the thing is.
There are multiple ways for these social media websites to have effects on the campaigns, but another one that is increasingly popular is called campaign bombing. This method takes place when a series of automated Twitter accounts that aren't used by actual people, some call them bots, come up with false accusations and have them retweeted thousands of times in order for it to become widespread enough for everyone to see. Now, these tweets don't go for actual votes, and they have no actual value, but in a campaign race that's really close with a lot of undecided voters, something like a campaign bombing can really have an effect on the outcome of an election. Now, what you're seeing here is Barack Obama's Twitter account, and this is where he did post a lot of tweets about the campaign race. He's got plenty of followers, 24 million it looks like. Mitt Romney, I believe, was about in the 12 million, something like that. But social media and the election campaigns literally go hand in hand, especially in this case. Social media is a medium that will continue to grow as more and more people gain access to it, and it's solely up to the politicians to harness the highly unpredictable market for which most of their information is circulated. Social media at its best can be highly beneficial to any given candidate, but as the viewer has seen, it can also be the death of their campaign. This issue relies on its users, and if they don't get their act together, it's a problem that will haunt the candidates for the remainder of its existence.